Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Sam, and this video I am going to take you through the complete step-by-step process on how to print and bind homeschool curriculum. So if that is something that you are interested in, this is the video for you. Let's get started. Okay, so before I really get into the step-by-step process, just a few things. First of all, I am not an expert, but I have done this and changed up my method a bit, so I feel like I have some tips and tricks to share. Another thing is, although I am talking about homeschool curriculum, this applies to really any document that you're printing. I have printed and bound huge manuals for my husband for different machines that he works on, and he loves it. So this is not necessarily just for homeschool curriculum, although I probably will just be saying curriculum the whole time. But again, this applies to any document that you want to print and bind. And the next thing I want to mention is that I am talking about spiral binding. That means it is on a spiral coil. I'm not talking about comb binding, the wire binding, but I'm specifically talking about spiral binding. So when I'm talking about binding a curriculum, I'm talking about spiral binding it on a coil like this, okay? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about all those other things. I'm specifically talking about spiral binding. First thing that we should talk about is printing, okay? That's the first step. Before we even get to the binding part, let's talk about the printing. Now, obviously, you're gonna need a printer, and I guess really any printer will do. However, I would suggest if you're going to be printing a lot, especially if you're doing homeschool curriculum, you're going to probably want to invest a little bit in a good printer. We used to have a like HP inkjet. I couldn't even tell you the model number. It was just your standard like $100 printer that you could pick up anywhere that printed and scanned, and it had the big cartridges that cost like $30 a piece, you know, so if you had to change out both the black and the colored one, it was like $60, and it would only print about 30 or 40 pages before you had to put in a new cartridge. I would ditch that type of printer right away. Otherwise you are going to be spending a ton of money on ink. So we have the model 3830, the EcoTank 3830, and we absolutely love it. Yes, they live up to the hype. I know the eco tanks are all the rage in the homeschool community, and I definitely do recommend it. I do not think you need to get the highest model though. There are several different models. They all basically work the same. I mean, they all print, and I think most, if not all of them, scan. But instead of having the ink cartridges, you have bottles that you pour in, and we are still using the same ink that I put in when I purchased it over a year ago. I want to say we purchased it like 14 or 15 months ago. So just over a year. We are just now at the halfway point. You can like see where the levels of each ink. So there's the black, and then there's the pink, blue, and yellow, the three color ones. And they are all like right at the halfway mark. We have had this printer for over a year. So I think that's pretty good. If I have to go every 2 years and then refill, and it's just bottles that you pour in. If I can go 2 years without refilling the ink, that's amazing. And I have printed thousands, and I do mean thousands of pieces of paper and bound them or whatever with them. So highly recommend. The ink, when you do have to replace it, is not that much. If you go with the like Epson brand bottles of ink, it's like 12 or 13 bucks for each individual one, because there's 4, the black and then the 3 colors. Or you can buy like the whole set, I think is for like 50 bucks. Again, that's if you go with the Epson brand. Now there are like the generic bottles that you can find on Amazon where you can get all 4 for like 20 bucks. Again, that right there is way less than what we were spending on one cartridge of ink. And I only have to do it every 2 years. That is really a no-brainer. Definitely recommend the EcoTank. Get whatever model you want. We wanted the one that loaded paper in the front, like in a tray, And then I didn't want the automatic document feeder, so that's why we settled on the model that we got. They're all going to basically print the exact same. Okay, so the next thing we need to talk about is the paper. The thickness of the paper and then the speed at which you print. Now, I did not know this last year when I was printing all the kindergarten stuff, but most people actually do recommend that you print on 32-pound paper if you want it to look super nice as if it came from the publisher. I did know about different paper weights, but I didn't know about printing on 32-pound to make it look super nice. So let me just show you, because I did print different things at different speeds and on different paper weights, and let me just show you the quality and the difference it does make. All of these covers are printed on cardstock. I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with cardstock. They are all printed, all of the covers I just print on the normal speed and on the cardstock, and they all have come out really, really nice. I did, when I was printing out last year's, just laminate one, and after I did one, I was like, never again. I'm not a big fan of laminating things, and I just don't like how shiny it looks. I actually think it looks cheaper. And we didn't have a problem with like the quality or them coming off, like things ripping. Everything held up really nice with the cardstock. So personally, for me, the cardstock is the way to go. But if you do want to laminate, that is always an option. In case you're not aware, if you're buying paper to print on, you're buying 20-pound paper. Nobody really thinks about that, but that is 20-pound paper. That is normal, just copy paper. And this is what normal copy paper looks like. Okay, it's thin. You can see through it. Okay, this is also printed at the normal speed or quality. Now, if some of you are wondering, well, how do I change that? That's going to depend on computer to computer, but basically, like when you go to print something, like a screen pops up and it says print on, you can check print on both sides. I want so many copies. I want to print pages 1 through 10 only, that sort of screen. And then when you're done with all that, you click print, right? Well, in there somewhere, it's usually up, like how you would select, like if you had different printers for whatever reason, there's usually something that says properties. And you click on that, and then there might be like various menus there, or another button that says like advanced. And you go in there, and then you're going to maybe find something that says speed or print quality, and there's going to be some options. Maybe there's a bunch of options. You can experiment. There is nothing wrong with printing the same page 5 or 6 different times with different paper and with different speeds. So this one, like I said, this is on 20-pound paper on a normal speed. Now this is handwriting. It doesn't have like a bunch of pictures in it, and we're doing handwriting in it, right? So that's what it looks like. It's not as nice looking, of course, on the nicer paper, which I'll show you in a second, and you can see through it. So keep that in mind. 20-pound paper is thin. Now these other two, language arts and math here, from last year, I printed on 24-pound paper. Now it is thicker. It is, I wanted to get like a good picture in here for you. The color does look nice. I printed both the math and the language arts on the high quality, like it took a while to print quality, okay? And this is on the 24-pound. So you can maybe see through it a little if I really put light behind it, but it's not that noticeable to me. The paper is thicker, like I can tell touching it, and it looks nice. However, it doesn't look as nice as something that is printed on 32-pound paper. Okay, so this one is on 32-pound paper. It feels nice, okay? It almost feels like photo paper. It's very smooth. It's like silk. It's so soft, and it is a lot thicker, and the colors are much, much brighter. I mean, you can see in the blues, okay? It really, I hope it shows up on camera like as I can see it in person, but the 32-pound paper does definitely give it like a high quality feel. Nothing wrong with using 24. I didn't have any problems. Like I said, it looks nice. It does look nicer than the 20-pound. But if you do want it to look super professional, print it on 32-pound paper at a high quality speed. That is the way to go if you want it to look super nice. That is my recommendation. If you want some other sort of comparisons, again, this is a 24-pound. This one is 24-pound at high quality. Here's another math. Again, this one's on the 32-pound high quality. You can see, I think you can see the difference, okay? It does look different. Okay, let's talk about the spiral binding, the binding. I'm just going to refer to it as binding, like I said, but I am talking about spiral binding with a coil, okay? The plastic spiral coils. When you are looking to purchase a spiral coiler, first of all, you need to make sure that you type in spiral binding machine. There are a couple different kinds. You can get a 4-to-1, and it looks like it says 4 and then a colon and then a 1. That means 4 dots to 1 inch. Or you can get a 3-to-1, and again, it's 3 dots to 1 inch. That's what that is referring to. Again, similar with the printer. Beyond that, it just depends on what you want in terms of like the features. Now, I wanted one that was very clear. It had a very clear little like key here on what you were doing. This adjusts here, so you can move it to where you need to for all the different pages. You can get one with a coiler or without a coiler. I think most people are sort of take it or leave it with the coiler. That's kind of how I am. I originally was looking at a more expensive brand, not gonna lie, when I sort of had the epiphany of, I'm just doing this for curriculum. I'm not printing things every single day. And I love the one I got. And I spent about $100 less than I would have on one of the bigger name brands. Okay, so I did get a Racine, and then it's PD 1503. Okay, and I really like it. I do really like it. I spent maybe $150 on it, I believe. It is more expensive now. I did look recently on Amazon to see, and it came actually with some coils with it, which I did not know it was going to. And yeah, besides like printing homeschool curriculum a couple times a year and binding it, you know, I don't really use it. I just store it on a shelf. This is the handle. It sticks up really high. So when I'm storing it, you know, I just put it here. This is the little bolt that goes on the side here. But yeah, we really like it. My kids like to help me do it when I am binding things for them. And the coiler works fine. I sometimes don't bother with it, but my kids really like it. On the side here, some key features that all of your binding machines, regardless of what model or type you get, there is a little thing here. Let me take this out. Might get a little shaky here. I'm going to hold this with my hand. Okay. This here refers, you can pull it out. Now the tapes have sort of come off, but there's 3 different ones. And that refers to how far out or in the dots are. Okay, I don't know the exact measurements. There's 3 different stages, okay? I'm going to give you a little tip right now from me to you because I made this mistake a few times, and I will show you what happens when you do this. I originally kept this pulled all the way out, which means that the dots went farther in. Now, that sounds like a good thing, especially if you want stuff to hold up and you're worried about like the cover coming off or pages ripping out or whatever. But here's what happened. Here's what happened when I did that. When you push the holes in further, this is one of those that I pushed it in or I pulled this out, but the holes go farther in. I hope that makes sense. Look at how far the coil, it's the piece of paper is actually coming almost all the way to the other side of the coil. So when you go to open this, the pages get stuck on themselves. You can see we had a hard time with the pages, and they ended up, you know, getting all bent up and squished. Okay, here's another example of that without the lamination. So again, this coils, it's almost all the way to the other side of the coil. So again, when you open this, it's getting stuck. Oops, sorry. There we go. Yeah, it's getting stuck. It doesn't want to go all the way around. Okay, now you can compensate by putting on a bigger coil, but again, then you're going to have this, you might have a, you know, a much bigger coil than you really need, and then that sort of is it can take up space having a bigger coil like this one. I think I compensated on this one with a bigger coil. This does not need that big of a coil, but it made it so that I could open the pages, and now you can see I can wrap this all the way around. Okay, so that's just a tip from me to you. So these ones, and once I did it, I was worried about them, like this is on the, you know, it's pushed all the way in, and the coil, or the holes are as far out as it can be on the farthest out setting. It still holds up great. I was worried for nothing. Okay, so don't think that I'm leading you down the wrong path. This, it works very nicely, and then you're putting on the proper coil. Everything is opening up as it should. It looks nice. Okay, just a tip from me to you on the that particular setting. Okay, so we've now talked about the coiler, the settings. Let's talk about the coils, okay? The thing that I encountered, which I'm sure you'll notice, is that you will buy a particular size and there will be 50 to 100 in there. And you're going to get worried about the fact that you're buying only one size. I have been able to find on Amazon, and I will link them. Try to get a multi-pack of different sizes, and it maybe only has like 10 or 15 or 20 in multiple sizes though. So you're not stuck worried about like, gosh, I got the wrong size, or I don't need 100 1-inch coils. Okay, trust me, you're not going to need 100 1-inch coils. I did not print any of the books as one book. I split them up unit by unit, and part of that is because I used the 32-pound paper. Part of it is because I didn't want to get huge honkin' coils. Okay, and it also is a benefit where you're not flipping through like a gigantic book when you're in the third unit. So once we finish unit 1, you know, it goes at the bottom of the pile and we're on to unit 2. Okay, I did the same thing. I mean, the preschool, you know, and I just write at the bottom, this is units 1 through 3, and then I'm able to use different size coils, and I'm not worried about using huge coils. I think the biggest coil that I actually have in my like multi-box set is a 3/4 inch, and I'm pretty sure that's what this one is. This is no, that's not a 3/4 inch. Maybe it is. 5/8 and 3/4 inch are basically what I use the most for these thicker ones. If you look at charts for like how many pages will fit in whatever size coil, keep in mind that they are talking about 20-pound paper. 32-pound paper, or if you print on something other than 20, is thicker. So if it says it'll only print 100, it really is less if you're on a different pound of paper, okay? And then same thing, yeah, with the coils. So that's another tip from me to you, is don't print the entire book out as one book. Split it up into the different units. You just have to print the cover a couple of times. If you do that, though, another tip, I should have said this with all the printing stuff. It's just coming to me now. If you print like unit 1 and then you print unit 2 and unit 3 or 4, however many there are, separately, make sure that you account for the double-sided pages. So like, say a document is page 1 through 300, and the covers are obviously page 1 and 300, okay? And unit 1 goes from page 2 to 100. Well, 100 is going to be the front of the page, okay? Because if this is page 2 in the document, but it's page 1, but it's page 2 when you're talking about, you know, it has the covers included. This is page 2, and then page 3. So your evens are on the front, odds are on the back. So if you're printing section by section or unit by unit, and unit 2 starts on an odd number, you need to print that page separately and then print the rest of it, because the even number needs to be on the front. If you do it where you just start with the odd number, and I hope I'm making sense. If you start with the odd number and you get to, you know, see, this page is specifically left blank for double-sided printing. So if you start on the wrong number, if you start on an odd as the front, all your pages are going to be messed up. And this page that should go with this one, this will end up over here, and you're not going to have, it's not going to set up right. And I hope that makes sense. Like, I think that happened with this one. Okay, so like this is unit 3 for this level. And again, I left this, yeah, unit 3 was on an odd page, and so I had to leave it by itself, okay? And again, I really hope that makes sense. Some people might think I'm just rambling, but I really hope that helps you if you do print section by section. Of course, you could just print it all at once and then split it up the way you want, but if you do print like unit 1 and then you go and bind, and then later in the year you want to print unit 2 and it starts on an odd number in you know, the document size. So like I said, if we were talking about 1 through 300 and unit 2 starts on 111, not 110, but 111, that is supposed to be the back of the previous page, so it needs to be by itself. Again, I really hope that makes sense. Here we go. We are going to start with, we have to do units 2 and 3 of Math 1, and I still need to do all of the language arts. So again, I really like, one of the things that I looked for is having one that was very clear, a very clear half letter. That's what this is. So it needs to go in between these lines. A letter would be this way, you know, if you have all the different sizes, and then you adjust as necessary. Now, I have done this enough times that I don't need to do a test paper, you know, like, did I line it up right? You know, let's not mess this up. I've done this enough times to line this up for myself and know if I have lined it up correctly or not. But do not feel ashamed if you need to, even if it's every single time you do it. If you need to, you know, put a test scrap piece of paper in there and make sure your holes are lined up, no shame. I did that quite a bit, but I'm comfortable enough now doing this now that I do not need to do that. So here we go. Here's a half letter, and these are the covers on the cardstock. So I just do those separately. We're going to stick it in there. Make sure you do put it all the way back. That matters. And I have this on my favorite setting. Okay, good. And all the way down. There you go. There are the covers. Now this one, it actually says there is a 15 sheet punching kind of max. Again, that is referring to 20-pound paper though. So keep that in mind. I personally just do about like 6 at a time. I just count out 6 pages and go. Here's the other cover set I have to do. Again, all the way in, and you can't see. Pull the lever, Kronk. But there's my lever. And we're just gonna pull this, make sure it lines up here. Okay, all the way down. Boom. And it's done. Okay, and then let me straighten you back out here. Let's do the other covers, and then I will do like a, I'll punch all of my pages for you in a second. We'll just do like a time lapse here of that. So here's the other covers. So these ones get bound this way, so I have to move this. So again, line it up. No shame, like I said in doing a test page. And I double check it a whole bunch of times anyway before I do this. But I'm confident now. I guess the first few times I did it, I wasn't sure that these were actually lined up with the holes in the, you know, in the actual machine itself. So I was worried like, oh, the holes aren't actually lined up, but they are. I've done it enough times to know that they are. Okay, so there's that one. We'll do these other ones and then we'll time lapse it up, and then I'll show you the very end putting the coil on too. So here's this one, front and back, and here we go. So there's this one. All right, so there's that, and now I just have my pile here. Okay, they're all kind of separated by unit, and I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And I just make, you know, the pile of unpunched, and I'll put the punched over on the other side. And yeah, so let's do this. Okay, here's the last part, putting on the coils. So this is the box that the coils actually came in, and or maybe some of them came in, or maybe I don't know, something came in here. And if your spiral binding machine doesn't come with a clamp or some clippers, you need to make sure you order that. That's how it cuts it and how it makes the, you know, makes it bent down so that the coils don't come off. So you're gonna need these. And like I said, I got like two multi packs of the spines, the coils here, and they didn't come labeled, so I kind of had to lay them out in size order, and then I wrote on them. And then this sort of just gives me a frame of reference, even though this is for 20-pound paper, just sort of, you know, a guesstimate of where I might want to start. At this point, I sort of know like most of these are going to go on the 3/4 or the 5/8. So that's what we're going to do. Let's get them coiled up, and then I'll show you how you clip them. So one of the things that I do when I'm trying to figure out what size I need to actually put on here is I'll just put on the coil about, you know, 3 or 4 holes down, and I open it up, and I can just tell already by looking at this that this is just too big. This is the 3/4. So I'm going to size it down 1 to the 5/8 here. And sometimes they are a pain to get out here. I'm just gonna get a few out at this point. Ah! All right, keeping them separate. 5/8 are over there. All right. So let me, and you know, maybe I was wrong. Maybe that one would have been right. So I've done that before where I'm like, oh no, I think I can go smaller. Oh yeah, this one works. This one looks a lot better. Okay, it just doesn't look like it's sticking up nearly as much. And the other thing to check is just make sure you have full width of motion where you can get it all the way around. If it's too small, it will be hard to open the pages. You want the coil to stick up a little bit. Ooh, oh gosh, that was close. Watch what you're doing, Sam. Okay, you want the coil to like stick, you know, out a little bit. It shouldn't be like squeezing the pages. That means it's too small. So anyway, yeah. So we're gonna coil the rest of this up and I will show you how you clip it once it is on all the way. The, if you're looking at you should be looking at the cover, okay? And the red dot needs to point up. If you do it the opposite way, this is the part that bends it. Sorry, it's not focused. That bends it there, and it'll bend it like out the part, you know, this part. So let me just show you what I mean. So put the dot facing you, you know, like this, and you're gonna put it in, and I just put it in about halfway. Just straight in. You don't want to do it at an angle, so just go straight in. You're just gonna give it a squeeze, and you just hang on to it for a second. And see it bent it down. If you had flipped it over, that would be facing the wrong way. And then you'd have to, you know, fix it. So there you go. That's how you do that. And then I just kind of like twist the whole thing so it gives me a lot of extra room to play with. And then you basically flip it over to the other side. And you're gonna, now we're gonna face it this way. Okay, again, dot facing up. You're gonna go in, and like I said, just straight in, not at an angle. You basically, if you're holding it flat on the table, you want your this to be flat on the table as well, is another good way to think about that. So again, just give it a, there's the extra. You can give it a little extra twist down if you'd like. And there you go. That is complete, done. And you can give this to your kids to play with. My kids love playing with the extra coils. So let's do the rest of them and be done. So that is it. I have walked you through the whole thing. The only thing I still have to do is write like unit 2 at the bottom here and unit 3. I'd already done unit 1 for the math. And then same with these since I did break it up. If you were curious, I did end up using 5/8 on the language arts ones and the 1/2 inch on the math. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If I missed something or you have a question, if I rushed through something, if I rambled on in the wrong direction and I totally forgot to mention something, please let me know if you have a question or if this was helpful. And I will try my best to be your tech support. So anyway, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. More homeschool videos to come. And I will see you guys all in the next video real soon. Bye.